Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? So I got a question here a couple of days ago from Sheila. She said, where do I want to start here? Said, I discovered you recently and I'm most of the way through your book. My podcast question is, I've lived my whole life in fear. I'm 56. It was my driving force in everything that I did or choose to do. Success, goals, and failure. Without fear running me, I don't want to do anything. Just sit around. Maybe do artistic things. Maybe talk to a familiar person. Reasoning says having no desire is wrong. If I don't work, I can't have my basic needs met. I do work. If I don't clean, my house is gross and a gross house makes me feel sad. Where in me do I find my drive to have purpose? How do I find motivation that is not driven by fear or consequences? Thank you for your time. Sheila, I'll tell you right now, you are not alone in that, my friend. I think the vast majority of people who have come through trauma find themselves in a very similar position. It's very much like, well, how do you kind of start to build and create your life? How do you do things because you choose to do them, not because of fear, not because of shame, not because of guilt, not because of this weird thing that's innately in us that says we have to do something or this happens. And I think about this a lot because I look at my life today and I look at the lives of the clients and the people I've coached and people we've guided through the journey over all these years of building and creating Think Unbroken. And ultimately, I believe that it always comes down to a couple of things. One, you just have to have clarity. Most people don't know what to do in their life because they haven't made a decision and created a framework and a roadmap about what it is that they want to do. And when I say a roadmap, I mean it's literally getting into the trenches of your reality and building who you are step by step based on who it is that you want and choose to be. One of the things that you really have to think about and understand when it comes to being on the other side of a traumatic childhood and background and having been a chameleon for most of your life, which many survivors are, is that the place that you're in now is unknown territory, especially when you're like, okay, I want to build a life without fear being the motivation. Fear is an amazing motivator. Like it is, because that pushes you forward in the moments when you have to take care of yourself, when you have to get that job, when you need to leave that relationship, with all of the other elements of life that may come up. Sometimes fear can be a provocateur for success. Now, that's very rare, and that's something that should be in the minority of the action that you take in your life, not being the very thing that's always pushing you forward. And so when I talk about this idea of mapping out your life, one of the things we always do at Think Unbroken at the beginning of the year is our goals workshop, because we need to create and set a framework for the future. Now, I don't necessarily believe that creating goals around the beginning of the year is the only time to do them. In fact, I write my goals down almost every single day. I'm always moving towards something. But I know that the goals that I set and I write every single day are actually mapped towards the bigger picture view that I have of my life. And what you have to do is literally this is where people are going to not be able to have success in their life, because they're not going to follow the steps that I'm going to lay out. If I go and I trace back all the success in my life, I can literally pinpoint it to doing exactly what people who, when I asked them the question, told me to do. Right. And so if I go and I seek help from my mentors, from my coaches, and I say, hey, what do I do? And they say, you need to do this. I go and I do that. And so if you want to have success here, you need to do what I'm going to tell you to do, because a lot of people will be like, oh, their advice didn't help. Their coaching didn't guide me forward. And it's like, well, you didn't execute the game plan. You didn't keep your side of the commitment, which is super, super often. And I really, really do not want that to be you. So you're going to have to follow through here. And if you're listening, you're going to have to follow through as well if you feel very similar to where Sheila's at. So what do? You take a pen and a piece of paper, and with massive clarity in the most nuanced of detail, you write down the life that you want to have. Some of you already have decided you're not going to do this, and I'm going to tell you why, because I can read your fucking mind. You've decided that you're not going to do this because you're measuring yourself against the success of other people and saying, I can never have that. The language that you use is a predetermining quality of whether or not you're going to have success or failure in your life. Two things. One, if you measure yourself against other people, you're screwed. Two, if you do not give yourself the space to find possibility, you will never find it. You're not going to have it. It's not going to happen. And you will be right. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you say, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, not going to happen. You've already predetermined. So when you're walking into creating the nuance of this life that you want to create, you've got to be massively specific while also understanding the chances are, A, you need to be patient, knowing that it's going to take you longer to get there than you think it is. And B, to get comfortable with the truth that you probably have not acquired the skills in your life required to get there yet. Right? The possibility is there, but you're not there yet.